right, welcome to this week's episode of Vets in Real Estate. We are joined by Karo, who will talk about his transition from a aviation support person in the Navy on into life in real estate and as an attorney as well. Carol, welcome so much to the show, and thank you so much for being willing to share your story with us and our viewers.
Hello, yes, and hello to my fellow veterans, and thank you for having me.
So, so tell us a little bit about. I guess you as we're kind of getting in the pre-roll. You're talking about your journey to join the military, and it sounds like you had a little bit of kind of challenges getting in. Let's talk about
Yeah,
just kind of how you got into the military and why you kind of chose what you chose, and ultimately
yeah,
why you chose to move on after that.
yeah. So, I came to this country at the age of 16, went straight to high school. I did not speak a word of English at the time because back in Armenia, from Armenia, I learned Armenian, Russian, and French. So English was my fourth language. And it was kind of difficult at age 16. Learning a new language is not, wasn't easy. But I saw Marines one day in my high school. I went to John Marshall High School in Hollywood Hills, a beautiful high school. You see that high school in a lot of movies. That's how beautiful it is.
Hmm.
When I saw the Marines and I saw their uniforms, I told myself, man, I want to be in that uniforms. So immediately I talked with the Marine recruiters. I told them I want to join. They said, okay, come and take an exam, like a practice exam, not the ASVAB. Before the ASVAB, you take a practice exam, as I'm sure everybody knows. So I failed that exam because, again, I couldn't almost speak any English, just very few things, words like putting, broken sentences together. So they told me, you know what, sorry, I did very well on the math part because you don't need to know English to know math, right? So I did like almost 100% on the math, and then I got like, I don't know, zero on the English or so. So then they said, sorry, you cannot join. So I was heartbroken. I was disappointed. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go do something else. I went to college after high school. About a year and a half, I learned a little bit more English. And then a friend of mine told me he wants to join the Navy. And that kind of rekindled my love and my interest for the military. And he said, "Come with me to the recruiting office." So I said, "Okay." I went with him, and while we were there, they told me if I also want to take the exam with my friend. So I figured, you know what? Let me try it one more time. I took it, and this time I passed. And when I passed, I got like super, super excited, and at this time, I fell in love with the Navy story, the fleet of the jets. And I always wanted to sort of be like a jet pilot. And so that caught my interest. So I joined the Navy. This was in 1996. I was in a delayed entry program. 1997, I was shipped out to Great Lake, Illinois, for boot camp. And then I spent for most of 1997 my A school in Pensacola, Florida, went to San Diego for my C school. And then I got my permanent duty station at the beginning of 1998 as an E4 petty officer. I got promoted really quickly through the ranks, and I chose California because I had the highest grade in my A school. And A school told us if you have the highest grade, you choose where you want to go. So I chose California. They sent me to Mountain View, Moffett Field, California. I was there for 3 years. And then when I got out in 2001, beginning of 2001, I did want to go to law school. I actually paid and enrolled in an LSAT course, like a prep course. But in July, I got married, and in 2002, I had my first child. And that's where I was thinking of going to law school, but I found it very difficult with the newborn child. I just couldn't do it. So I got into a lot of just business. I started at a gas station, managing a gas station, at a Subway restaurant, and then from there went into buying a franchise restaurant. Did very well, sold that a year later. got my financial advisor license, my Series 7, 66, and life annuities. I got hired by Ameriprise Financial. They're one of the biggest companies, financial companies in the United States. I was a financial advisor with them for a little bit. And then I found my passion in real estate, actually, while I was doing that. I got my real estate license and I started doing real estate, also buying and also being an agent for people who want to buy and sell. So I would represent them. I did that for a while until about, it was about end of 2013, 2014, good like 12, 13 years after I got out of the Navy is when I decided my kids were a little bit older. They started school. And I decided to go to law school. I thought now is the opportunity, now is the time. So at age 36, I started law school. A lot of people in their 30s don't want to go back to school because they think, it's late, this and that. Trust me, it's never late. And I wasn't even the oldest one in law school. I had classmates that were in their 40s and 50s. I actually had this guy that was in his 70s.
Oh, wow.
And he just wanted to fulfill his dream and do go to law school. So, it took me about 3.5 years, almost 4 years. I took the bar and I passed it the first time in 2017. And I've been practicing since then. So it's been almost 8 years I've been practicing, and I've been doing a lot of real estate naturally, having done real estate before, both as an investor and as a real estate agent and a broker. I started a real estate company. I have agents that work for me, so I have a lot of real estate experience. And then from there, surprisingly, actually, initially, I didn't go into real estate law. A friend of mine who with his uncle, had a law firm that was doing employment law, sort of pulled me in without really thinking about it. I just got in and I started doing a few cases with him. And then I found myself immersed into doing employment law. And this is where it was a little bit of an eye opener, actually. And this is where I want to help veteran investors and just investors in general, because that suing employers, suing the boss, the company owners, where most of the time are also investors themselves, and buy a lot of things because most are somewhat successful if they have a business. Obviously, not all, but some are. And when an employee would come to us and say, "Hey, I want to sue my boss. Why? Oh, he sexually harassed me, or he didn't pay me my wages." Whatever the reason was, one of the first things we would do as plaintiff's attorneys is we would get the name of that person that he or she, the employee, wants to sue, and we would do an asset search. We would see if this person owns any assets in his or her name. And when we found assets, oh, look at this person has a house in his name or has multiple properties in his name. We it's almost automatic. We sue them. We'll take the case and we sue them. But when we found nothing, this person has nothing in his name, almost always we would drop that case because it was really not worth for us to put in a lot of time, a lot of resources, spend a lot of money, go through a year, 2 years of litigation, get a judgment against someone that has nothing to attach to, nothing to collect. So we would not waste time on people who didn't have assets in their name. So why was that an eye opener for me? It was because, listen, you can't have anything in your name because you're a target for lawsuits. You are considered a deep pocket, so now people are going to want to sue you. So what do you do about it? Well, I learned over the years you can hide it in a way legally, 100% legal. There's nothing illegal about it. The beautiful laws of this country allow you to do that through LLCs, entities, whether they're corps or LLCs. I prefer LLCs because they're easier to manage, less requirements. Corps have more requirements. You got to do the minutes, you got to do the meetings every quarter, every year. LLCs don't require any of that. Right? So, and then you do a double layer LLC. You have one LLC that owns all your properties, but you yourself don't go and put your name on these LLCs. It defeats the purpose. Now people can see it. So you layer that with the holding company through a state that does not disclose the ownership. There's two beautiful states that allow that in today. One is Ohio, one is Delaware. I prefer Ohio because Ohio doesn't have annual fees. You don't pay anything annual. It's amazing. Delaware charges annual fees, whether you know do anything or not. They charge you fees. Most other states charge you fees, but Ohio doesn't, and Ohio gives you all the protections that Delaware does. So now I do it through Ohio. I layer it through Ohio for my clients that hire me to do that. That's one of the services I provide asset protection for investors. Because as we were speaking sort of earlier, before we got in on the podcast, um, people spend so much time, effort, and money. People spend years to build a portfolio and a real estate portfolio. They put in lots of their time. They work day in and out, save money, buy it, and then one instant like that, they can all lose it if it's not structured properly. And it's not only being sued by previous employees. One of our listeners might say, "Oh, well, I don't have a business. I don't have employees, so I don't care." Well, how about you drive a car? I'm sure you do. And what if one day you look down on your, whatever, on your radio, or you pick up your phone, or you look down on your phone and you accidentally, not intentional, okay, accidentally like severely injure someone, or God forbid you kill someone? What's going to happen then? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. A plaintiff's attorney is going to look who did it, or is going to look you up. Is going to see all your properties and is going to say, we're going to wipe this person out completely, take everything that they have in their name. So now you're going to have a hard time to even settle this case. Oh, now you're going to say, oh, well, that's why I have insurance. How much is your liability? I bet you it's probably less than 100,000, 300,000 aggregate. And if you kill someone, God forbid, if you injure someone, you break someone's leg, and now it turns out for the rest of their life, they cannot work, or if they were an athlete, now they cannot be an athlete, you're going to be sued for like 10, $20 million. Your insurance policy is going to drop to 100,000 and say, we're out. You're on your own, buddy. Here's your policy. We're out. The rest is on you. And if you have things in your name, the plaintiff's attorney is not going to rest until they take everything. Just for a simple accident, a simple negligence, which can happen to anyone.
Yeah, I could certainly see where that would come in, even from an investor standpoint. But even as an individual agent, you're with Keller Williams or wherever you're at, right? You're still running a sole proprietorship, and ultimately they're going to still come after you. Is that still the best option, I guess, for that solo agent that's out there, or that agent who's a part of one of these large brokerages? Is that still the best option for them in that case, is to have that double layered LLC?
Absolutely. That's the best option for anyone for any career. But you could have someone that's on salary. They work, they make good salary. Let's say they make 20, 30,000 a month or whatever, like they're engineer or whatever they are, right? But what they're going to do with their money, they're going to put it somewhere, right? Even if it's an investment, like an account, if you put it in Charles Schwab, you put it in Fidelity, whatever, right? Well, but if it's in your name, somebody can touch it. If they have a judgment against you, they can levy that. They don't ask you. They don't say, hey, can we tap into that? They take it. And then they send you a notice. By the way, we took your money. So even if you don't have real estate, you still do the tier layer LLC. An agent should also do that. Their commissions, where should their commissions go? In their individual account, the most dangerous place that they can sit. Why? Create an investment company, okay? Layer it with Ohio. Go open up a bank account with that name, that account, and put all your money in there and invest it with that. It's an investment vehicle. And then when you need to buy something, buy directly with that. Even better. There's no trail. of in your name, even attached to that. So yes, real estate agents, independent real estate agents, doctors, dentists, engineers, everybody should do this, especially investors.
So, kind of going back in your journey a little bit, what was there anything, I guess, from your time in the Navy that you think had kind of set you apart or made you a little bit different that has kind of contributed to your success?
Yeah, I think my shortcomings were what set me aside and actually helped me succeed, because when I went to even at boot camp and or in A school, I knew I had to try 10 times harder because everybody spoke fluent English and read fluently. Almost everyone was born and raised here, and I still couldn't speak English. So I knew I had to try harder. So when everyone was out partying after school, in A school, you go to school, and then, like, let's say at 3 o'clock, you're out and you're on your own, right? For the most part. And everybody was for almost every day out and about doing this, especially on the weekends, partying. I was at the barracks studying. I was just studying, 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 and I got the highest grade in my entire school, not just in my class. My entire aviation school, I had the highest. My average grade was 98.1. So I missed less than one question per exam. There's 100-question exams. If you miss one, that's 98. Oh, sorry, it 50 question exams. One was 98. And everybody in my class were like, dude, you barely speak English. How do you do this? They're like, how do you translate that in Armenian? And then I was like, dude, I just study, man. It's simple. You
Right.
guys are out partying. I'm studying. Like, of course I'm going to get higher grades. So I think fear of, I had a fear of like being the last because of my lack of, you know, speaking fluent English. I was so petrified. And when they said that if you get the highest grade, you go to anywhere you want. And I was already, by that time, I got to A school in Pensacola, Florida. I was already homesick. I was like, oh, I want to go home. I'm in California. My parents, my sister, my friends are there. And so I decided I will do everything I can to get the highest grade in class. So I did. I put in a lot of time and effort. I did group studies. I love group studies. I would get close to my friends and I would just say, listen, man, come at least. I know 90% of the time you're out partying, but that 10% time, come study with me, please. Let's just get a room. Like, there's a lot of the library. We had study rooms in our own barracks. Let's go sit, let's brainstorm, let's talk. And that helped too. My own classmates helped me too.
I can certainly see why, and I mean, kind of understanding your story a little bit more, I could see why that was such a driver for you in those cases. And I would only assume that as over years went through, those same habits kind of went through law school as well, did they not?
I was the valedictorian of my law school. And I had the highest grade in the history of my law school. No joke. I mean, I got nobody. It was a 50-year-old law school. Over 50, I think. I started teaching at the law school on my last year without even having graduated. I started teaching as an assistant professor. And I was valedictorian of my class. And then after I got licensed, the school hired me as a professor.
Hmm.
So I am an adjunct professor at the law school that I graduated from. It's
How have you like
UWLA, University of West Los Angeles. It's a beautiful local law school. I love it.
how did you like being an adjunct? I recently started adjuncting as well, and I think it's interesting because you or nor I went through that traditional college route, right? I, like you, spent a year, realized it wasn't for me, joined the service, and now sitting down and teaching, in your case, in law school, you're teaching folks that maybe have gone through their undergrad, going right into law school, but they're still relatively young, no life experience, anything like that. How have you enjoyed, or I guess, what was the challenges with being an adjunct, with maybe not going through that traditional side and having the military as part of that background?
You know, well, first, let me start saying that I love it. I love teaching. It's one of the best things I do. I teach only one class a semester. It's
Mhm.
rounding. and it's 1 day a week, and it's the evening class because my school is catered for more almost like working people. So a lot of my students are actually students that have jobs and they work. Um, I One thing I do, which my students love, is just also sprinkle in with the course material my experiences, how it all connects. Um, and I mean, students love it from the feedback that I get. I enjoy it. Because I love school so much. Teaching is my way of constantly going back to school, so I don't miss it as much. I don't see it so much of a challenge, if that's what your question was. I just see it as an opportunity to educate the students not only on, hey, what's the black letter law, what is compensatory damages, what it is, but also tell them like in real life experience, like this is what's happening. And I'm also a practicing attorney, so one day I'll go to class and I tell them, listen, I just literally came from court today, and this is what happened, this is how I applied this law, this is how I did this, and this is how I got justice for my clients. And their eyes lit up. They're like, wow, this is something different. This is real experience versus just book read it. I mean, listen, if all a professor did is teach what's in the books, students can read that by on their own. They don't need a professor.
Yeah, I agree. And some of those textbooks are just dull and boring as could be. And I mean, no offense to the PhDs that write them, but you wonder how much time they've had in the real world. And I've seen the same thing with
Yeah,
my students as well. As we're talking about development. Well, let me tell you the story of my last development,
yeah.
and
Oh
it,
my
it
goodness,
brings it
that's
home
oh
totally different.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So were there I think you were probably smart into holding off. I was dumb enough to do my MBA while I had newborns, so I could only imagine trying to do law school with newborns. I mean, MBA was hard enough. I could imagine law school. I mean, was there any challenges? I think that your time from the service kind of helped you through all that as well. I mean, obviously the studying side, but I mean, going into time management, trying to balance being a father, husband, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the most fundamental thing that I learned in boot camp was pay attention to details.
Mm.
Attention, and everybody that's been through boot camp, that's like drilled in your head. Hey, pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the details. So I use that in law school too. Like we sit in class. I have 25 classmates in class. We're listening to the same professor, same lecture. We walk out of class, and I am telling my classmates about things that professor said. And everybody is like looking at me like, what? Like, where? I'm like, what? Weren't you in the same class? Didn't you hear the same lecture? Like, how'd you miss these little details? So for me, the Navy really taught me to pay attention to the details, and that helped me a lot to this day. I mean, even if I'm working on a case, this and that, I pay attention to the details that many people don't even see, and everybody gets like, wow, how did you think of that? I'm like, yeah, it's instilled in me to pay attention to details. In boot camp, I had to find ways to survive. To me, especially, again, I want to go back to the fact that I didn't understand much of the English. So when our sergeant drills the boot camp, I forgot what are the, not drill sergeants, that's the Marines, but our who was in our division? Who's in charge of the divisions in Navy? But it's been like 20 some years. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you I was an army guy.
Let's call them drill sergeants, whatever. When they would just come and yell, like I was so scared. Like I didn't even understand what they're saying. So I'm like, sure, like what? So I mean, I can get in trouble easily for just simply not understanding what instructions I'm getting. So I had to like start paying attention to everything, like the littlest details, like even the body languages, things like that. Like they just and that helped me be successful both in in boot camp and in A school and in my law school, just in life. That's it. Just if I have to pick one thing, I would pick that, the instillment of attention to details in my psyche. That's like who I am.
Yeah, and I mean, I can still hear our drill sergeants and even sergeants, throughout my career, attention to detail, always paying attention, and it's kind of funny how those things just stick with us, where
Yeah.
they really do become fundamental, just kind of throughout life. Some of these things that a 2, 3, 4 year stint in the military at such a formative time just absolutely is instilled with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah, that becomes part of you. This is who I am. I mean, even like something as simple, me and my wife would be watching a movie, right? And then let's say at the end of the movie or halfway through, she will like ask something, and I'll be like, this is who is this. And it's like, how did you get that part? I'm like, because I'm literally paying attention to every word, everything. Why? Why are they saying this? Who's saying this? Who's like, everything means something.
No,
That's
that's
how the military helped me just be
yeah.
aware of things and just simply pay attention to the details.
Okay, that's all fair. I'm curious now. You did a few things before you went into brokerage. What ultimately got you into the idea of doing investing in brokerage and real estate before going to law school?
Yeah. Well, so for about 6 or 7 years, I was with Keller Williams.
Okay.
It's a good company. I'm not going to talk anything bad about them. But every time you get your check, you get a client as an agent, right? It's your own client. Keller Williams didn't do anything. You got your own client. You spend your own money on marketing. You go get your own client. You go show it to them. You're the one out there doing all the work. You put it through escrow. You do everything. You get your check, and it's say 10,000 just for an easy number, right?
Hmm.
Keller Williams takes like 4,000, 5,000 out of that check, and you get like 6,000 out of your own $10,000 commission. So after a while, after giving away so much money and realizing like, why am I doing this? I was like, listen, I'm going to get my broker's license. I'm going to study it. I'm going to take a course. I'm going to get it. I'm going to open up my own brokerage. I'm going to keep my entire 10,000. Why would I like give it away? I didn't really understand. They don't do anything for you. If anything, again, I don't want to talk bad, but I want to be realistic. If anything, that kind of environment where there's a lot of agents, you go, and especially when you're new, a lot of them are sharks. You talk with the client, you mention an address, you say some name. Next thing you know, all these sharks are all over it, and they steal your clients. I was like, man, I'm not letting this happen to me. I'm not going to deal with this. I also told myself when I have my brokerage and I hire agents, I will never do these things to my own agents. When I tell my agent I'm going to give you an 80-20 split or 70-30, whatever, I am going to be true to that statement. I'm going to give them clean. If I tell them 80-20, the check is 10,000, they're getting $8,000. That's it. Unlike Keller Williams, when they tell you well, they start you at like 60-40, 70-30. Nowadays it's 70-30, they start you. But it's, I hate to say this, but it's a lie. It's not 70-30. Okay. They charge another 6% royalty fee. So now you're down to 64. And then they charge you admin fee. They charge you legal fee. They charge you admin. I said the admin, like processing fee. I mean, like there's a two-page, two-page full of fees
Hmm.
that they charge. So even though they tell you 70-30, you walk away like at, maybe 55 or 60%. So my agents now, I never take a penny from them other than their split. If it's 80-20, it's 80-20. It's 70-30, it's 70-30. And my agents, well, they're so loyal to me and I'm so loyal to them. They, I mean, you can give them $10,000 bonuses or whatever to find somewhere else, they wouldn't even go. I have an agent that's been with me for, um, man, now it's almost like 8 years, 9 years. Amazing guy. His name is Eric Chang, and Eric says, man, like, I'm not going anywhere. We talked about this a lot. He has actually friends that are brokers. They told him, hey, come with us. We'll give you this and that. It's like, no, man, I'm
Mm.
just happy where I am. And,
Yeah, yeah.
so
I think a lot of folks, and you went out and did it, but I know a lot of folks will have that same experience with whatever brokerage they go to. They'll go start their own brokerage and then find that there's a lot of things that were maybe harder or not expected. Was there any of those things as you started building your own brokerage that you just kind of didn't anticipate or maybe threw you off for a little bit that if you could go back and do it again, you might do a little differently?
if I did the brokerage thing, and I ventured out on my own when I was a new agent, yeah, I can see how I would have a lot of issues. But I stayed for like 7 years with Keller Williams. Well, I was with a smaller brokerage before that for like a year or two, and then another like maybe 6 years with Keller Williams. So all in all, I was an agent with some brokerage for about 7 years. So at that point, I learned everything that I needed to learn. There was nothing else new to me at that point. So no, I really didn't have any challenges when I started my own, because by that time, and I studied for my broker's license and I took that exam. So by that time, I had so much knowledge and experience. I had no problems. That's one of the best decisions I made, to venture out and open up my own brokerage, and also have my own agents. I don't even call them my agents. I call them like my partners. They're a lot of my agents are my partners. I give them opportunities to bring in other agents under them. If I'm giving 80, 90% to one of my agents, they want to bring another agents under them and give them like 70 and be their mentor and take that 20%. That's beautiful. Do it. Treat it like your own business, your own brokerage as a partner with me. Give a lot of opportunities. See, that's another difference between being with Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker or something. With me, like there's so much flexibility. I remember when I was at Keller Williams at one point, my cousin wanted to sell her house. I told Keller Williams, like, hey, she's my cousin. I'm going to do it for like 1%. They're like, no, our company minimum policy is like 2 or 2.5, whatever. I'm like, who the heck are you, man? Like, this is my cousin.
Mm.
I'm representing my own cousin. I can charge my cousin whatever I want. No, you can't. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I think that was my sort of the point that I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I can
That
see
was
that.
the point.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now I let my agents do, as long as I tell them, as long as it's legal to do it. I don't care. I'm not going to put restriction. You have a cousin, you want to charge him 0.5%, I don't care. Go charge him 0.5%. It's your cousin, your deal. Do your deal however you like. I'm not going to dictate people how they deal with their own clients. I mean, if Keller Williams gave me a client, I would understand they have the right to put their own. But if it's my own client, how are they going to tell me what to do? And that's why I don't like that hierarchy corporate structure. I was like, no, it's not for me.
fair enough. Well, as we start kind of wrapping up here, if you're to look back at yourself when you're getting ready to leave the Navy, is there anything that you would kind of go back and either tell yourself to do maybe a little differently, or maybe a lesson that you wish that you didn't learn as hard or as difficult as you did?
One thing I'm probably would do differently is I probably would start law school earlier.
Mm.
Yeah, I would start earlier, even though given the challenges, and I would have started, law school to a lot of people and to me at that time seems this like unbelievably hard like thing to do. But what I realized, it really wasn't. It wasn't really that difficult. It was just You just have to put in a little bit time. That's it, and things will work out. So what I would recommend is that, listen, if you're thinking about doing whatever it is that you're doing and you are afraid because it could be too much, once you start doing it, you realize it's not as bad as you thought. So just do it. Just do it. That's just thing. I would just do things earlier. Is if I can go back, I would do things earlier. Mostly go to law school earlier. Uh, I don't regret getting into different fields and businesses before law school, like being a financial advisor, because I learned a lot from there. Owning a gas station, a Subway, a restaurant, I learned a lot doing these things. So I don't regret that. And in a way, now that I look back, maybe if I went to law school earlier, I would not have done all that. So I don't like to regret it. I don't want to say I regret it. So in your life, wherever you are, don't look back, say you regret anything. It happened for a reason. But moving forward, just start today. That's what I would say. Just forget about going back. Just start today and do what you've been wanting to do for a while.
No, well, I appreciate it. I can't think of anything else we could end on better than that. Is just go ahead and do it and
Exactly.
start moving forward. It's not gonna be as hard as you think once you get in the middle of it. So
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
thank you so much for your time on this one
You're
and willing to
welcome.
share. And you're the first attorney we've had on the show, so I was glad to finally get an attorney to kind of talk about that side of it as well, because we do get a lot of veterans who are thinking about law school, thinking about doing something in real estate law, and we just honestly hadn't had one. So thank you so much for your time and being willing to
Fantastic.
share your story.
Thank you for having me, and I wish all our fellow veterans the best. If anyone has any questions, they can reach out. I mean, I easily can be found on Google, with just search my name, find and reach out. I will not charge consultation fee for our fellow veterans. I normally do, but I will not charge consultation fee. So I will consult with any veteran that has any questions about real estate, whether if it's law school or if you just want some advice, that's fine. Just reach out.
Good.
And Will, thank you so much for giving our fellow veterans this opportunity also.
Appreciate it. Thank you.